let's chat about Instagram. I sell dresses, and I hired this VA to build an audience on Instagram. And all we did is we posted product pictures, just product pictures from the product page. And she posted like 200 pictures, and basically we had 0 followers after all these posts. So could you tell me just a few ideas, like where to even start and what types of posts actually work? Because I realized that product pictures doesn't work.
Yeah, so this is something that's super interesting that the algorithms are really catering towards now, is trying to get brands and influencers and individuals to focus on more creative content. That meaning the content that usually starts to perform best that brands and organizations will see is content that really explains who you are as a brand or as an individual. So less about the sales, like buy this or buy this service or this product from me. Instead, here's a beautiful or funny graphic that kind of says what we're all about. So whether that's about maybe you give back to children in need, and so you're going to have a lot of lifestyle imagery of like mother and children, or you're going to have a lot of really inspirational quotes around that same kind of messaging. That's the kind of content that's really engaging. I like to say it's probably the most beneficial thing ever to just put yourself in the consumer's shoes. And when you're swiping through your own Instagram feed, which kind of content are you most likely to engage with? It's probably not going to be some product that you've never heard of and never seen before.
So there are tons of strategies that you can use on Instagram to build traffic and build a loyal following. I will say that in the spectrum of traffic generating platforms, Instagram ranks 3rd or 4th overall after Facebook and Pinterest. It's installing itself as the 3rd best source of traffic. So, for brand new people to the topic, I would always encourage them, start with email marketing. And then if you start on social medias, start on Facebook and then on Pinterest. And then Instagram is a great opportunity. And the activity in Instagram that you want to focus on is finding your ideal customer and putting content out that they will appreciate. The first mistake people make on Instagram is they start being narcissistic with it. They'll just put their own things out there, their own photos, their own, food they're eating, their own travel, that kind of thing. But if you want to use it for business context, you have to think through, what do my customers want to see, or my ideal customers want to see, and feed them that as much as possible. We have a business in the gardening space, and so you can check out our work in this regard. We have almost 200,000 followers on Instagram now for the Happy Gardening Life. One of the strategies that we use is very simple. We created a hashtag called The Happy Gardening Life, and we asked people to use that hashtag in photos that they wanted to share and that we would reshare or repost on our account. So we have an army of gardeners using our hashtag with the hope that we'll repost or reshare their photo. It gives us completely free content. They're thrilled when we feature them. And that hashtag has now been used hundreds of thousands of times. And it's allowed our account to grow to over 190,000 towards 200,000 followers. You can check it out on The Happy Gardening Life on, of course, the website, but also on Instagram. You might wonder, like, why would people do that? Why would people let us use their content for free? And the answer is very simple. They want the notoriety. An account that even has 1,000 followers has energy higher than an account that has 100 followers. And you know how it is. If you have an account that has 100 followers, you look up to somebody who has 1,000. And if they reposted your content and gave you a mention, then all their followers will click through and potentially follow you. And in a niche industry like gardening, then if you've got an account like we do, close to 200,000 followers, when we post someone's image and say, tell us what you think about Becky's awesome backyard vegetable garden, and we link to her Instagram profile, we tag her in that, she's thrilled. I mean, she's getting a flood of new followers that are in the industry that like the topic and are then now following her. And so that energy creates an ecosystem where the bigger account can, in essence, I guess in spiritual terms, be a blessing to the smaller account. And the smaller account, though, is providing a real valuable service, which is photos or video that can be used for free on the larger account. And we've done that now for 5 years, and it's totally skyrocketed the brand and the presence. We do influencer shout outs. I'm in conversation with 2 big greenhouse companies about getting free greenhouses in my backyard because of the opportunity to do influencer work with that account, because we're focused on that niche, and we've created a niche brand in that space.
If you have a very nice product, you can find a very niche audience on. I would recommend it to start with Instagram. Like Instagram have a very niche audience, stories, it's very huge. Like you can reach out to very huge and very niche audience there on Instagram stories.
We do a combination of posts where we really look at who is our audience and what do they respond to. And so maybe 30% of the time we do posts about product. The rest of the time we're doing posts that resonate with our audience as well as help them solve problems. So our goal is to make sure that our followers know that they're going to enjoy being following us. So we know that our followers really like inspirational quotes. They like real. So instead of showing pictures of everything perfect and pretty and wonderful all the time, most of our followers don't need that. They don't need the fashion magazine. They relate more to, oh, there's other people that are just like me and I'm okay and I'm enough. So there's a lot of posts that we do where we either poke fun at ourselves or we really look at, okay, here's what real life is like, and it can be really funny. And then, like I said, the inspirational quotes, but then we'll also post about products and how those products can help solve problems or help be a great gift for someone. We have a lot of stationery in our catalog, and so we may have a post about being grateful, and we'll show a picture of somebody writing a thank you note with one of our cards and talk about, how good it feels for someone just to receive a normal piece of a normal card, handwritten note in the mail versus a promotional flyer, and how much that can mean to somebody to just take 5 minutes and say thank you, or I love you, or I'm grateful for you. And for them to, open that pretty card and see that can be really powerful. So we try to show our products of how they're meaningful and how it can be really easy to use them to make your life and your family and friends' lives better. And so we incorporate a strategy of all these different ways that we communicate with our audience and engage with our audience and not have it be just, promotional and product driven all the time. So we're really trying to build the brand and the image of the brand and not just focus on buy our stuff.
Definitely how you can promote it is also by, you can promote it in various countries by, making something which is going to be super localized for that market. You can make like a really, you can research the market and then you find something which is really catchy, or maybe it's like a really some cool saying that's going around like these days for the certain market, and make it into like a big banner and make it like it's like just something that people can remember about your business. When we're talking about this e-commerce thing, that's what we did. For instance, like we would make like a big like catchphrase, not like great, make America great again and stuff like that, but something which is like really popular on that market at that point, and you make it into a banner, and that's how you make it a really good commercial about it. So people are really, kind of intrigued and like, who is this? What is this?
So there's definitely an age difference. I don't recall the exact demographic ages off the top of my head between the channels, but if you were to go from generations from oldest to youngest, up here is going to be Facebook, then you're going to have Instagram, then you're going to have Snapchat, and then you're going to have TikTok. So it is a huge age difference, but also it depends on how the platforms are starting to position themselves differently. Facebook is really trying to be that. For a while, they were just that marketplace. They started turning into the marketplace. All they wanted everyone to do was buy ads, and then they actually opened their own marketplace. Now they're having a cryptocurrency, so they're still really into that. This is a point for sales. This is an advertising platform. And then just earlier this year was when Mark Zuckerberg made his whole statement about how he wants Facebook to come back to being a group and a community conversation point. And I think that's going to be a big struggle for them because we've all, for the past 5 years, just viewed Facebook as a product marketplace, not really somewhere where you go and chat with your friends. Whereas Instagram is somewhere where you go to connect. You're going to go connect and find inspiration. And so I think every brand can fit into that. It just depends on how you market yourself there. So like a fashion brand, you would really want to hone in on that inspiration piece, and you'd want, how do these products get styled so that someone would want to buy that product because it looks so cute on Instagram and they saw another model wearing it and they saw multiple tag photos of your everyday girl wearing it. Whereas on Facebook, it's more so fall dress 2019, buy this now.
I think the advice I would give a seller is to have a focused approach when you're brand new, meaning I would spend 100% of my money on Amazon, especially if you're a US-based seller. I would find products that have traction, and then I would build an off-Amazon funnel that leads initially back to Amazon, and then after that to my Shopify site. But you know what? It has a lot to do with who your customer is. If your customer is a teenage girl, for instance, then an Instagram influencer-based marketing strategy is a really good strategy. If you're a consumer products brand, you're not going to use Instagram probably to sell toilet paper, right? It's a very different marketing strategy based on what kind of a problem your product solves.
I've heard of this technique on Twitter. It used to be on Twitter. You follow many people a day and some of them follow you back. Does that work on Instagram too?
To an extent. I think that a lot of brands and individuals use a tactic on Instagram of they'll go into a like-minded brand. So let's go back to fashion. If I follow Chanel because I love their bags and their dresses, a lot of influencers or other brands will go in and follow every new person that follows Chanel because they believe or want their brand to be associated with that. So, we believe that women and men who like Chanel fashion are going to like our fashion as well. So if we follow them, they're going to see that we followed them. And then that's going to probably 99% of the time make that individual click and go see what that other brand is all about, but just follow them.
If you have Instagram followers, at what number of followers you could start feeling like you are getting some sales and getting some traction if you just built everything organically? Is there a number to that, or how do you know?
It's hard to quantify, but the one number that Instagram kind of set the precedent at is 10,000. Because when you get to 10,000 followers, that's when you're able to put like the swipe up in your stories and to learn more. So you start getting a lot more features available to you from the platform once you hit 10,000 followers. And then the more followers you have, the more credit you get, which is also like when you were asking, if I see a brand in my feed and I click on their profile and kind of scan what they're all about, seeing how many followers they have, if they have only 1,000 followers, as a brand, my immediate reaction is probably, this isn't real, or like, this is not a real brand, or they're new, I don't know if I trust them. So that is a point when your follower count really does have an impact.
Instagram.
My experience with Instagram is not that big, but I tried also for my own products to create an Instagram channel, and we do this for I think half a year, and the conclusion of this half year Instagram promotion was only sellers who sell similar stuff, not on Amazon, but maybe on its own website, or small influencers follow you because they try to get things for free or to promote each other. So the real customers, the real fans, they only come to your listing if you can offer something extraordinary. So if you sell a garlic press, it's not the best idea to offer images from your garlic press, because nobody's interested in a photo of a garlic press, and they maybe are interested in recipes you are cooking with your garlic press. But this is an idea also many people out there will have. So you have to be creative to find something what a customer wants to see. Yeah, something extraordinary. I don't know. I do not know anything extraordinary with the garlic press, but you have to look out for other channels which have a lot of followers. What do they post? What posts are doing the best performance in this timeline? Yeah, maybe this is the way I want to go, to copy this kind of promotional, this kind of video, and put it on my channel, or create an own video, try to get attention. And also to interact with your followers. If you have some followers, try to interact. Ask questions, make a reaction on their posts or their questions or their likes or something else, to get in touch with these people, and maybe they share their this reaction in their story, and other guys can see this reaction, and then they follow you. Yes. There are a lot of ways you can try, but it all depends very on your followers, on your niche.
Jitendra is a social media guru, if you will, and we've done a couple webinars together. He consults with a company called Plus One in New York, and he just talks about this idea of, if you're going to build an audience, you have to engage with them and relate to them one-to-one. Emotional engagement. So again, if you're starting with social media, the first 100 people that follow you, reach out to them. Thank them for following you. Why are you following me? What are you interested? Build relationships, because that's what actually gives you more of a grassroots aspect of it, but it will actually give you tons of customer insight. And building that relationship is so important, and allows you to then, when you do more posts, when you reach out to engage your audience, you know who they are, and you're addressing them in a way that's respectful and understanding, as opposed to just sell, buy my product. And that's how 99% of all companies approach it. We've got social media, buy my product. And people don't want to follow that. There's nothing to engage, but actually creating an authentic connection and relationship with your audience is the most important and best way to get started for companies who are just getting their first products off the ground.
Do ads help grow the organic followers? I mean, like on Facebook, if you run an ad, there will be some people that like the page. Is the same on Instagram?
Yeah. Yes, maybe a little bit less so, but again, that's why it is really important to make sure that your organic Instagram feed is curated to look appealing. So if somebody saw, if I even think for myself, if I saw an ad for a pair of shoes, and I've been looking for white sneakers, and I see an ad for a pair of really cute white sneakers, and I've never heard of the brand before, I'm probably going to click on their name and go to their profile and make sure that they're legitimate and that I like their style, or that I maybe like what they stand for. And if I do, then I'm going to follow them, because now I feel secure that I'm going to purchase from them.
That's an interesting point you mentioned. How you're going to go into the feed and kind of evaluate in a few seconds, are they good, or do you want to follow them or not? So what are these things that that make you feel like they are being shopped at and popular? Like, what are these indicators?
I think the first stamp you're going to see is if they're verified or not, the little blue check mark. Secondly, do they have just simple things? Maybe just because I'm a social media marketer that I notice them a little bit more, but, do they have their bio filled out about what the company is? Is their feed just a bunch of product ads, or is it more, stylized photography and messaging that relates to me? And am I seeing multiple other products photographed in their feed that maybe I'd be interested in? Or is this just going to be a one-time thing and I'm just going to buy the dress or the shoes and now I don't need to follow them? First and foremost, that would be something to just keep as an ad, not as a feed post. So I would just use it as paid advertising on Instagram and or Facebook, and really niche targeting there, and then having a clear CTA call to action that not only says, the perfect dress for fall 2019, something a little bit more eye-catching than just buy this dress only $21.99.
Consider Instagram.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think one of the things that you can immediately do in Instagram that sets you apart is really obsess over your bio and the links you include in your bio, the title of your account. I mean, really think it through from a customer perspective. And the simplest thing to do is go for a lifestyle or an affirming statement type account. I love, California, or those types of names, the Happy Gardening Life in our case. Those center your audience around a theme or a topic so that when people see the account, they're more likely to follow it. So think through the naming, think through the description, think through the link, and because in Instagram, that's really the only place you get to say who you are and what you do and have a clickable link, of course, is in that bio. So that's a key feature. The other thing I'd really encourage people to do is get comfortable building story content. The story feature or functionality in Instagram has taken off like wildfire. They basically knocked off Snapchat's construct, and the stories feature has become incredibly popular. One of the benefits of having a strong Instagram account is when you have over 10,000 followers, you have a story functionality swipe up that is a clickable link. So most Instagram accounts that are smaller only have the link in the bio, but once you have over 10,000, your stories can be swipe up to go somewhere. And so you want to build towards that 10,000 followers number, and then you want to learn how to use stories to really drive e-commerce sales. So you can do stories daily, and then the story highlights functionality captures that content for the long term. So learning how to do that is really, a huge opportunity.
Like games always work. It's insane. Sometimes I see a post, and then they say like, okay, post something using our product, comment this post, like this post, and then you get the chance to win like a toolkit worth $300 or whatever. And then I see there are like 11,000 comments, and there's only one toolkit to win. But people are like, oh, there's something for free that I could really use. And then people get encouraged to use that. So games like this are always a good way, even when your product is a little bit boring.
What about boring products? Like, I don't know, nails, gray nails. Like,
yeah.
What would you say? How can will it even work for me to be on Instagram? Like, what can I do with that type of?
Yeah, the three have to get, if you're saying like hardware, like nails for hammering. Yeah, so I would say, the first thing that would come to my mind is, yes, you would be on Instagram. I wouldn't shy away from that at all. Your content would need to be something that is you using the product, but not just, here's how you hammer a nail into a tree stump. It would be something that's more stylized. Are you marketing towards woodsy, outdoorsy people, or are you marketing towards DIY, do-it-yourself, like kitchen renovation homeowners, and kind of showing it in an environment that would speak to your audience that's not just looking like an Amazon product listing of just a screw on a white background.
About viral content. First of all, viral content is cheap or free marketing. So I think it's a great way to essentially gain traffic, email addresses, whatever you want to capture. I think in terms of what the content needs to be, definitely can't be just product images. That doesn't really make it viral. I think, and I've not tried this myself, but when I look at viral content from a personal perspective, the thing that makes it viral for me is that it's either really funny but true, So it's like a true life scenario, but they've made it a comedy sketch, and then show you some sort of solution to the problem. The other thing I was thinking is talking about the problem in a funny way, and providing that solution, because at the end of the day, you want more traffic to come to your website. You want more traffic to come to you wherever you are. And I assume most of the people watching this will probably have websites or will be on Amazon. And I think creating that viral content takes a lot of thought. I'm not that creative to do something like that myself. And I think it's, for me, it would be a really difficult task to do. So it would take a lot of thought, and I'd have to do a lot of research. And I think there is a lot of content out there on YouTube and on websites to tell you how to create some sort of viral content. But the best example is when you see the viral content and then you start to dig out how and why it's actually become viral. But personally, I don't know the rule behind how to make it viral, but I think it will require a lot of testing. I think it requires identifying a problem and solving it, but it's the way you go about presenting that to customers.
I think it's a couple things. I mean, followers, it can be a really difficult thing to focus on because I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it definitely does, especially with like the more brand focused messaging content that you just need to get organic engagement on. But when you're running like purchase ads or you're posting content where you're tagging the product, you don't necessarily need the followers, because you can pay for people to see it more often. And depending on what the product is, you know, if it's fashion or beauty or some tactical like backpacks or something like that, retail, essentially, if it's any retail, people are going to see it organically because they're going to be searching for it and they're going to be retargeted for it, and it'll start showing up organically. So definitely like the product tags from your catalog will help with that.
Content marketing, obviously quite cool. And the cost of acquisition is your time as the founder initially. Put in your time, speak to a certain, again, demographic, psychographic, a certain person, have a certain person in mind, and just tell them how to optimize a section of their life as relates to the domain that your products exist in. So you wouldn't necessarily talk specifically about yoga mats. Were you to promote those, you'd probably want to make content about yoga, match them up with a platform where yoga practitioners hang out, say Instagram, and the content starts to draw in organic eyeballs, which you can then use to capture email addresses, which you can then use to engage in an email list. And there again, you have your community.
Someone told me that there is this buy now button on Instagram, so you could convert your regular post to a buy now button, or that's only for ads. Like, how does it work?
Yep. So that's only for ads, to have the actual shop now or buy now button that actually shows up on the post. But you can upload your product catalog on Instagram. And that means, I do this for my current brand that I work on. That means you connect to your website and you upload like your entire product catalog. And then when you go and you post a photo of that dress today, you can tag in your photo, just like you would tag an individual, you can tag a product. And that way, when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see your post, and I'm like, oh, that's a really cute dress, and I wonder what that is. You can click on the photo and you'd see a tag pop up, and it would say, you know, the Kelsey fall dress. And I could click on that, and it would bring me to, within Instagram, it'd bring me to the product listing on Instagram. And I could either purchase it right on Instagram or go to your website. And I know exactly which dress I'm looking for. I know exactly the price because you told me that on Instagram. And now I don't have to go search around on your site and likely get frustrated about stuff. There's a few different factors. Sometimes, of course, it's just luck and chance. And you post it at the right time with the right messaging that the algorithm just picked it up. But usually, obviously, there are a few other factors going into that. It has to be some creative content, and I know that's broad, but It depends on whatever your brand is. And the messaging has to be something that people are going to relate to. In today's world, it's usually something that is snarky or sarcastically funny. But kind of trying to find where your brand falls in that niche and in that kind of conversation. Yeah, and obviously it's the engagement that helps the platform pick it up to make it go viral, because essentially when it comes down to it, it's the platform, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, that is driving that post up to more news feeds as soon as it picks up that it's getting traction and getting more engagement.
We're really looking at what are competitors doing? What do we feel will be relevant for those particular products? We're researching what our customers are looking for, and then making sure that when we create the content, we're answering those questions and we're solving the problems for them, versus just, hey, let's take a bunch of photos. We do a lot of research on what problem are we solving for customers? What questions do they typically have when they buy competitors' products of ours? And how can we solve that through our photography, our infographics, or our videos? So there's a lot of research prior to doing a photo shoot or a video shoot to make sure that we create the right content that's going to resonate for them. And then we also try to create lifestyle photos 3 or 4 times a year. It doesn't take a long time. It's probably a couple hours, but we'll create lifestyle photos because we do quite a few home products, and we'll update them based on the time of year and the season. And then that can be used throughout all of our channels, as well as on our on Amazon and eBay and other sites, so that's seasonally appropriate. So we really leverage all of the content that we create throughout all of our channels so that we can make sure that we really get a return on investment on that content.
Initially, the way it works is you're going to have to use hashtags that are commonly used, in your industry or whoever you're trying to target. And you want to just post things that are entertaining. For example, you want to post things maybe that are humorous or shocking or whatnot, just to get people to engage in your content in the beginning, to start up your account in the beginning.
So I personally believe that the best way to use hashtags, I think the sweet spot is 8 to 12 hashtags on your Instagram post. I do not like hashtags on Facebook. They just don't have the same searchability for users like they do on Instagram. And then, so 8 to 12 on your Instagram post, and finding them, I like just using the platform. So if you're in, Madrid, Spain, and you're posting your outfit of the day, and you're looking for hashtags for what's trending in Madrid, Spain about fashion and outfit. On mobile, Instagram's app has the best situation for searching for those hashtags. So when you type in hashtag Madrid and you start typing fashion, you're going to find which hashtags, because they will actually show you this one has 1.2 million and this one only has 6,000 posts that use that hashtag. So you're going to say, oh, the 1.2 million searches, I'm going to use that hashtag. So then you'll end up with 8 to 12 that are maybe, hashtag fall fashion, hashtag Madrid fashion, hashtag Madrid street style. I think that just searching for them organically, it can be a little time consuming, but that's when you get the best results.
So do you always keep it super short and then 12 hashtags? That's the style that you mostly do?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways that you can do it. With Instagram, I wouldn't say necessarily 2 sentences, but when you're on mobile and you can see the image and then you can see the text, it's best practice to have the text be before it would get cut off. So when if somebody's writing a novel in their caption on Instagram and then you have to click see more or read more, sometimes if it's a really captivating story, maybe it's about some great travel that you just did and you really want to post a long caption, that is going to be naturally more engaging. But if it's, kind of more of like a product sale, keep it right above the fold, as we could say, like old newspaper terms, but keeping the caption right there. And then the hashtags, you could either, 2 options, you could add after your copy in the same section, just add return. Sometimes it gets a little funky, you got to play with it. You could do like 5 lines of enter and then do all of your hashtags. but they work just the same with option 2. You could post your caption with your picture, and then you could go in, and then the first comment on your Instagram post, the first comment can just be all of your hashtags. And I like doing that. Some people don't like that because then they feel weird about making it the first comment on their photo, but it really doesn't show up to your users unless they expand to see all the comments. And if the hashtags are in the caption or they're in the comments, they act the exact same. Instagram doesn't know the difference.
We had a marketing consultant that we worked with last winter, and he also said that you should have at least 30 hashtags. And that way people, basically it's just more traffic and people can find you better, because if they're looking on a hashtag like back to school organization, then your products come up. So the more hashtags you have that are relevant to your products and the categories where you may be selling, the better. I think it's maybe somewhat similar to think about keywords in PPC campaigns. Like you want to take your most relevant keywords and make them hashtags, or it could be a hashtag where you know there's a huge following on this hashtag in my customer base on Instagram.
There's a lot of, they call it like SponCon, which is sponsored content, but it's fake. So you have to be careful with that. You can tag any brand or any individual you want, whether they're your friend or not. So like a lot of fashion bloggers will tag every single piece of clothing that they're wearing and tag the brand or store that they got it from. That's totally fair game until you associate any kind of wording that it might be an ad. So if you tagged all of the brands and designers that you're wearing in your photo, and then you said something in your caption of like, thank you so much to Chanel for this bag, that could get you in a lot of trouble because Chanel did not sponsor that post. You cannot mention that in the wording, but you are allowed to tag them because that does help people find your content. If somebody's looking for that Chanel bag and they're going to see how people styled it, they can search for Chanel and search tagged photos of Chanel, and they'll find your outfit post with that Chanel bag. So let's say you had this dress for your fall fashion line. You could tag an account that was called Women's Fall Fashion, let's say, that you found that has like 2 million followers. You could definitely tag that, and you would want to tag like OOTD, Outfit of the Day. Those are really lucrative accounts. Tagging all of those that kind of go with what your content is about. As soon as you start tagging brands that or individuals that in no way are connected to the image, then that's where the consumers are like, oh, that seems a bit salesy. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm a little confused. Mm-hmm. So definitely if it's relevant, tag away. You'll get way more engagement and way more eyeballs on your content.